The rotate tool is made up of two parts. There is the standard rotate tool and also the reflect tool. Both tools provide you with a way of rotating an object around an axis point. The first one we will look at is the rotate tool itself. First off, I'm going to select my shape. Then I'm going to select the rotate tool. Just as we saw in the last tutorial on the scale tool, I get a reference point indicator appear in the centre of the object. I can drag this point where I would like the shape to pivot around. Now if I drag with my mouse in an area outside the shape, you can see it rotate around the reference point. Just to note, the reference point does not have to remain within the shape. I can drag it to a position outside the shape as well. By holding down the Shift key as I rotate, I can constrain the rotation to 45-degree increments. If I want to specify an exact degree amount to rotate, I can do this by double-clicking the rotate tool while my object is selected. In the dialog box, I can enter an exact angle. With this method, I cannot choose my pivot point. It will be from the centre of the object only. I can tick to see a preview, and then once I am happy I can either choose OK, rotating the selected shape, or I can click Copy to apply the rotation to a newly rotated shape, leaving the original unaffected. So now let's take a look at the Reflect tool. I'm just going to hit Control or Command for Mac users to activate the selection tool so I can move my copied shape aside. With the shape still selected, let's go ahead and select the Reflect tool from the Tools panel. As you can see, just like with the Scale tool, I get a reference point indicator. This shows me where the axis point for the reflection will be. I'm going to move the reference point indicator outside the shape as it is a bit easier to see the effect of the reflection tool this way. Now with my mouse, I'm just going to drag the shape to the right. You can see by the blue guideline that not only is my shape being rotated around the axis point, it is also being flipped or mirrored as I do so. Now I'm going to go ahead and do that again, but this time I'm going to hold down the Shift key as I drag my mouse. You can see by doing this it constrains the reflection to 45-degree increments. Let's repeat this one more time, but this time let's hold down Shift, Alt and Control, or Shift, Option and Command if you're using the Mac. This key combination makes a reflected copy instead of reflecting the original shape. This is an important function to remember as we will use this a lot when we move into the fashion drawing workshops, drawing one half of the garment then reflecting to make symmetrical silhouettes. So just like we could with the rotation tool, we can reflect using exact angles if we do the reflection via the tool dialog box instead. I'm now going to click on the reflection tool to bring up the dialog window. I can choose whether I want to reflect my object on either the horizontal or the vertical axes, and I can choose an angle for the reflection by clicking a point in the angle circle or by entering an exact angle in the box. With the preview ticked, I can see the effect happening live before I click OK. So if I'm happy, I can then choose OK, or I can click Copy to apply the reflection to a newly copied shape and leave the original unaffected. I'm just going to click OK this time. I can also access the reflection dialog box by right-clicking on the object and choosing Transform and Reflect. As you are probably starting to gather by now, there are lots of different options to achieve the same result within Illustrator. It's just a case of finding the way that works best for you or your current workflow.